Remember when a new car cost less than a year's salary? When a tank of petrol cost a quarter? When you could buy a house, raise a family and send your children to college on a single salary? If you're watching this, you probably remember, because you lived through it. You witnessed America looking different, sounding different, feeling different. You remember what it was like to grow up in the 50s and 60s, when neighbors were a community, when people knew each other by name, when life moved slower. And here we are, decades later, watching the world change in ways we never could have imagined. Translated with the EPL.com free version. Let's start with something everyone understands. Money. In 1950, the average American family earned about $3,000 a year. Today, that sounds like nothing. And by modern standards, it is, but those $3,000 could buy a whole lifetime. Bread cost 14 pence. A gallon of milk cost 83 pence. Minced meat cost 59 pence per pound. You could feed a family of 4 on 10 a week, and still have change left over. A new car, a delightful Chevrolet Bel Air or Ford Custom, cost around $1,500. That was half a year's salary for a new car that would easily last 10-15 years. And a house, a 3-bedroom house in a good neighborhood, cost $810,000. Think about it. A house costs less than 3 years' salary. Today, the average family earns about $75,000 a year. But bread costs 3. Milk costs 4.50. Minced meat costs 67 per pound. A week's worth of groceries costs 200. A new car costs $48,000. A house costs nearly $400,000. That's more than 5 times the annual salary. In the 1950s and 1960s, most families lived on a single salary. 1. Dad worked at a factory, in an office, in a workshop. Mum was at home not because she couldn't work, but because she didn't need to. With one salary, you could buy a house, a car, food, clothes, a holiday once a year. Put a little aside and even save for your children's education. Annual salary. Today, both parents almost always have to work, not for luxury, but simply to survive. $1 in 1950 is worth about 12 today. But a house that cost $8,000 should cost $96,000 if prices had risen in line with inflation. Instead, it costs $400,000. That's the maths. And it explains a lot. Oh, cars. Oh, what cars there were back then. 1957 Chevy Bel Air, Ford Thunderbird, Cadillac Eldorado. They weren't just cars, they were works of art. They were made of steel, heavy doors, metal, rubber, glass, no computers. Petrol minus 2,530 cents a gallon. A full tank, $3. Today's cars are safer, smarter, and more economical. But they look the same. And petrol is $4 a liter. The average house was 1,000 square feet, with one bathroom, a small kitchen, and a telephone on the wall. Laundry was done once a week and dried on a clothesline. Dinner was served every day at 6 o'clock. The whole family gathered around a table. Today's homes are 2,300 plus square feet, with multiple bathrooms, smart thermostats, and spacious kitchens. But families have become smaller. Children used to play in the yard. Mom would call from the porch, "Dinner's ready." Neighbors knew each other, helped each other, and doors were open. Today, there are fences, cameras, and empty streets. There is a lot of privacy, but little connection. Work back then. The US was an industrial giant. Factories, bakeries, workshops. You could finish school and get a job right away. Pensions, unions, stability. Jobs today. Manufacturing has disappeared. Services, technology, fierce competition. College is almost mandatory. Work follows you around on your smartphone. The gig economy. Less stability. Almost no pensions. We traveled through the America of your childhood and compared it to today. Yes, many things are better today: medicine, technology, rights, opportunities. But we have lost something. connection with our neighbors, simplicity, confidence, patience. If you are 50, 60, or 70, you have lived in both worlds. You remember how things were before and after. You adapted, learned new things, but retained your old wisdom, and that wisdom is needed. Because we need both the past and the future. We need technology, but also connection, comfort, but also humanity, progress, but also memories. And now we have reached the end of our journey. Look around. Much has changed. Technology, cars, houses, work. Today, everything has become faster, more complicated, sometimes colder. But if you listen closely, the heart of America remains the same. Families, friendships with neighbors, the joy of simple moments. These things never change. Do you remember how every morning began with little rituals? The newspaper on the porch, the smell of fresh bread, the clink of glass milk bottles on the doorstep. These details are small but meaningful. Today, we no longer notice them, they are a thing of the past. But they lived and continue to live in our memories, in our hearts. And perhaps the most important thing we can take away from this story. It's not a comparison of what was better or worse. It's the understanding that the present and the past can coexist. We can take the most valuable things from the past: connections with people, patience, the ability to enjoy simple things, and combine them with the advantages of the present. Technology, knowledge, opportunities. America then and now is not just history. It is your life, your memories, your heritage. You lived into Americas. You saw how the streets, houses, schools, and habits changed. You remember how connected you were to your neighbors, how you valued trust, how every day was full of small joys and caring for your family. And as long as we remember this, as long as we tell these stories, a part of that old America lives on with us in our hearts, in our families, in our actions, in how we teach our children respect, patience, and caring for one another, in how we cherish simple moments, dinner with the whole family, a walk around the neighborhood, a conversation on the porch. America then and now is a lesson for all of us. A lesson that technology and progress bring us convenience, but true values remain unchanged. Love, family, honesty, hard work, caring for those around us. And it is these values that make us strong, make us human, make life meaningful. So when you look at the world today, remember, you have witnessed change. You have seen America grow, change, become faster and more complex. But you also know that true value lies in people, in connection with others, in things that cannot be measured by money or technology. America is changing, the world is changing, but love, family, friendship, caring, that's what remains. That's what matters. And as long as we remember, as long as we share these stories, we preserve the best of then and cherish the best of now. Thanks for sharing your memories. Share your stories in the comments.